Tonight, new details on Israel's strike on Iran. Reaction to the retaliation, and what will it mean for a ceasefire?
We should see an end of this tit-for-tat between these two countries.
Plus, the star-studded sprint to the finish in a presidential race that's still too close to call.
There's too much we stand to lose if we get this one wrong.
Well, if I win, this will be my last election.
Could there be payout for a painful past?
I understand how the most painful aspects of our past continue to resonate.
Commonwealth leaders seem to think so. And a four-legged reptile steals a family's heart.
The head popped up and looked at us. Oh my God moment.
The rescue that revived a rare sea turtle.
It was a full inspirational story.
CTV National News with Heather Butts. Reporting tonight, Joy Malbon.
Good evening. We begin with new details on Israel's precise and targeted strikes on Iran, sparing oil and nuclear facilities. It's retaliation for that barrage of missiles that rained down on Israel earlier this month. Iran is downplaying the damage tonight, saying it has a responsibility to defend itself, but also towards keeping regional peace. CTV's Kamal Karamali starts us off.
Explosions over Tehran as Iran's air defense system intercepts incoming Israeli missiles. Iran's military says 4 soldiers were killed. Israeli fighter jets using U.S.-controlled Iraqi airspace to launch the attacks. But overall, damage was limited.
We conducted targeted and precise strikes on military targets in Iran.
Israel's attack in response to Iran's missile barrage nearly a month ago. Israel's military said in today's attack, it aimed for weapon manufacturing facilities, crippling missile production, avoiding oil and nuclear targets.
The United States clearly, when it says that we don't want to see escalation, was successful in counseling that Israel not hit, for instance, energy infrastructure that would affect world markets.
But the world already feeling the ripple effect.
Iran should not respond.
Several nations making a plea to Iran today not to retaliate.
It looks like they didn't get anything out of the military targets. So I hope it's just,
Far from the end is Israel's war with Iran-backed Hezbollah, who fired rockets into northern Israel today. While Israel's military released video today claiming it uncovered and destroyed an underground Hezbollah facility, while claiming it continues to dismantle Hamas groups in Gaza. On Saturday, Israeli forces left a hospital in the northern part of the Strip after detaining medical staffers and patients, said the enclave's health ministry. The same day, Israeli strikes killed more than 30 people in the area, including women and children. While another Israeli strike killed multiple people further south in Gaza City, according to Palestinian paramedics. The house was full with about 30 children, says this man. Efforts to secure a ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza, which could cool the wider conflict, are expected to resume in Doha when negotiators fly there tomorrow. Joy.
Thanks, Kamal. Let's bring in retired Major General David Fraser, CTV's military analyst and former commander of NATO forces in southern Afghanistan. General, senior security sources in Washington say that Israel's direct military response against Iran was targeted and did not hit oil or nuclear facilities, and that should be it. Do you fear an escalation? What do you think?
Joy, I do not fear an escalation. These were military targets done at night to minimize collateral damage. Iran said what it needed to say, which was they defended themselves. Israel said what they needed to say, which was this was over. And so we should see an end of this tit-for-tat between these two countries.
General, the big question for so many, when will there be a deal to bring the Israeli hostages home and stop the killing in Gaza? How much closer are they?
Well, I think the important thing is today that Israel announced that the head of intelligence going over to Qatar to have a discussion, which is indicative of a thawing of relations. that have been strained. So the good news is Israel wants to talk. We'll see if it results in anything, including the release of these hostages.
Let's hope so. General Fraser, thank you. In Huntsville, Ontario, a grisly discovery. 3 bodies were found in a home after a man called police and told them he had harmed family members.
When officers gained entry into the home, 3 individuals were located deceased, including the armed individual.
Police received a report of a shooting at the home and spoke with the man on the phone, who said he also had weapons. 2 women and the armed man were found dead at the scene. The OPP and Special Investigation Unit are investigating. And a teenager has been charged with second-degree murder in the death of another teenage boy in eastern Ontario.
This is something that, is shocking for the whole town.
A 15-year-old was found dead in the home of Perth, Ontario, Friday afternoon. Today, a 16-year-old has been arrested and charged with murder and cannot be identified under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Well, the race for president is in the final stretch now, but as the candidates Kamala Harris and Donald Trump hunt for every last vote, this campaign is closer than any other in recent history. And that has led to a frenzy of rallies and star-studded appearances in the battleground states that will decide who wins the White House. CTV's Jeremy Sharon has more.
Kicking off the weekend in a key battleground state, both campaigns set their sights on Michigan today.
Can't speak. There's something wrong with her.
Donald Trump rallying in Novi, promising car companies would come roaring back under his administration, touting tariffs on cars made overseas.
All you need to know, Kamala broke it, I will fix it.
There's too much we stand to lose if we get this one wrong.
Kamala Harris visiting Kalamazoo with former First Lady Michelle Obama, her first event for the Harris Walls campaign.
Ours is the team that will bring people together, strengthen our economy, and get things done for the American people.
Before her rally, she visited healthcare workers in Portage, Michigan. Abortion and reproductive rights a focus at the rally, too, along with the importance of getting out to vote.
We have to understand the opportunity we have before us to turn the page on the fear and the divisiveness that have characterized our politics for a decade because of Donald Trump.
Today's stops coming on the heels of big nights for both sides.
It's time to sing a new song.
Harris with a boost from Beyonce, who joined her in Texas, while Trump...
Did you just float out the idea of getting rid of income taxes and replacing it with tariffs?
Well, okay.
Were you serious about that?
Yeah, sure.
Pushed another tariff proposal on America's biggest podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. But with just 10 days left in a race that is unbelievably close...
Americans living in Canada may very well be the deciding factor in who's the next president.
The U.S.'s former ambassador to Canada says the hundreds of thousands of Americans living in this country could play a big role if they vote. But turnout among them has never been good.
And we know that over 20,000 other Windsor rights are dual citizens.
Which has pushed Democrats to canvass in Canada to try and change that.
Now, former Ambassador Heyman also noted the economic stakes for Canada in this election. Trump has repeatedly touted tariffs, which would likely put pressure on Canada's economy. Joy?
Jeremy, thank you. Commonwealth countries, including Canada, ended a week-long summit in Samoa, agreeing that the time has come for a conversation about reparations for Britain's role in the slave trade. From the 15th to 19th century, more than 12 million Africans were forced into slavery by mostly European ships, with the UK responsible for more than 3 million people. CTV's Alex Carpa has more on the painful look back and potential way forward.
A document signed by 56 heads of government says it's time for, quote, meaningful, truthful, and respectful conversation on the topic of reparations for the slave trade.
Our Commonwealth is going to take exactly the same approach to considering these matters.
King Charles acknowledging Britain's painful past.
I understand from listening to people across the Commonwealth how the most painful aspects of our past continue to resonate. It is vital, therefore, that we understand our history to guide us to make the right choices in the future.
It's been a tense trip to the Pacific for the King after he was heckled by an Indigenous senator in Australia last week. The United Kingdom has faced growing calls from other Commonwealth leaders to apologize and pay reparations. The statement, however, did not mention what reparations should look like.
In the 2 days we've been here, none of the discussions have been about money. Our position is very, very clear in relation to that.
Justin Vovk says he is not surprised by the joint statement, but says it's a very complicated situation.
Charles is head of state for some of these realms. He is not head of state for all of the members of the Commonwealth who have experienced slavery under the former British Empire.
Robert Griffin says reparations are not simple.
We should try to learn some best practice from other examples of atrocities, which actually involve treating the descendants of former victims with due respect.
The joint statements also included the consequences of climate change, including rising sea levels and temperatures. Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was supposed to be in Samoa for the Commonwealth Summit, but cancelled his trip due to political woes at home. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The death toll has risen to at least 126 people in the Philippines after flooding and landslides caused by Tropical Storm Trami. Some parts of the country got more than a month's worth of rain in just 24 hours. The president says many areas remain isolated and that rescue efforts are ongoing. Nearly 500,000 people have also been forced to flee their homes. While Whole Foods is joining Canada's growing list of frozen waffle recalls over suspected listeria contamination. This recall reaches the organic homestyle and blueberry waffles sold under the 365 Whole Foods Market label. They were sold in BC, but may have made their way across Canada. There have been no reported illnesses. Similar recalls were issued earlier this week from brands including Compliments, Great Value, and No Name. Well, tonight, a recent study says billions of dollars in Canadian milk is going down the drain every year. And while milk surpluses are not new, critics say there's no strategy to deal with it, raising serious questions about Canada's dairy industry. CTV's Alison Bamford tells us more.
It turns out there might be a reason to cry over spilled milk.
They make us dump it.
In this video, Ontario dairy farmer Jerry Hugan says he's forced to dump 30,000 litres of extra milk some months because of government regulations.
I want the people to see the pain that us growers have.
The emotional plea was posted almost 2 years ago, and it's the reason researchers decided to look into the problem.
It's a taboo subject, and dairy farmers have never wanted to disclose any of that.
Farmers have quotas for how much milk they can produce and don't get paid for having a surplus. This month, a new study estimates more than 6 billion litres of raw milk have been discarded on Canadian dairy farms since 2012, an amount valued at up to $14.9 billion. That makes up about 7% of total milk production over the research period. The Canadian Dairy Commission declined an interview, but in an email said the study's production figures do not match industry figures, which suggest more than 99% of produced milk made it to market over the last year. Researchers want the data used to calculate those numbers made public.
There's been some commentary about how the numbers are calculated. Well, the answer to that is disclosing the real numbers so that we don't need to make estimates.
Canada's supply management system controls dairy production. The issue isn't with the management, researchers say, but rather what they call a lack of planning around excess production.
We need to accept the fact that cows are not robots. They will overproduce. Farmers will overproduce.
Industry leaders call milk dumping rare and a last resort, but researchers would like to see new rules that force farmers to disclose surpluses, find alternative uses for excess supply, and fine those who dump it. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Regina.
And coming up, thousands of musicians are making a lot of noise about artificial intelligence. Plus, the Canadian goes deep into the history books at the World Series. Well, some of the world's biggest bands are speaking out against artificial intelligence. Musicians, actors, and authors have signed a protest letter against AI's use of their work. CTV's Rachel Crowe Spreading Wings explains.
Thousands of artists from groups like ABBA, Radiohead, and The Cure's Robert Smith are among those taking a stand against the use of their creative work to train AI tools.
It's complete theft.
Canadian husband and wife duo Twin Flames support the petition.
Artists that are still here, that are still putting in their literally blood, sweat, and tears into what we do, we need to be protected.
Adding art is supposed to be an expression of self.
We have to come back to our roots of discovery and people being unique and individuals and learning to find new musicians and appreciate what they're doing.
The letter says the unlicensed use of creative works to train AI is a threat to the livelihood of artists and must not be permitted. More than 11,000 professionals, including actors like Julianne Moore, Kevin Bacon, and Rosario Dawson, signed the petition. Jared Putra is a musician from Saddle Lake Cree Nation.
The whole point is I want to make music that is made by humans, make music that is for people, and make music that if we play a song live, it sounds exactly how it sounds on the album.
One Alberta professor says AI can be a collaborative creative tool, but adds these artists have a point.
So it's not to say that then there's not great potential in them. But we cannot be doing this, is stealing people's work and not remunerating them.
So far, regulations on AI are not moving as fast as the technology is developing.
Music is passion. Music is emotion, and computers cannot create emotion.
Rachel Crowe Spreading Wings, CTV News, Edmonton.
An electric start to the World Series between the New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers, thanks to a Canadian.
Cortez delivers. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone!
Freddie Freeman making Major League playoff history, hitting the first ever walk-off grand slam in a dramatic come-from-behind win for Los Angeles in Game 1 in front of more than 50,000 screaming hometown fans at Dodger Stadium.
I knew it was going right when they hit it. Those are the ones you just don't feel when you hit them, and for it to be in that situation, that's pretty cool.
It's been an emotional journey for Freeman, whose young son Max was diagnosed with a rare illness, causing him to take a break from baseball this summer.
Seeing one of your kids on a ventilator, just fighting, it was hard.
But after learning Max would make a full recovery, Freeman returned to a standing ovation in August. And still ahead, saving money this spooky season.
Happy Halloween!
Avoiding bills that'll haunt you this Halloween. From spooky decor to the tricks and treats, Canadian families are still getting ready for Halloween, and while some prices may have gone up, no need to fear. As CTV's Kathy Lee tells us, it's never too late to save.
Happy Halloween!
It's that time of year when front yards transform into haunted havens, and the people who live there get the goodies ready for trick-or-treaters.
We started getting ready for this at the beginning of October.
The time spent to also build these chutes for the towers of 2-liter bottles of pop and mountains of chips to slide down.
We're anticipating, I want to say, 4,500, maybe 5,000 people.
From the big undertakings to the simple bowls of sweet delights, the spooky season comes with a price tag, especially for chocolate. This year, thanks to the price of cocoa, up 120% from last Halloween, and sugar up 24% compared to May.
What we've seen from companies like Nestle, Cadbury, Rowntree is that they've actually decided to offer us less, reducing quantities, and that's called shrinkflation.
Chocolate bars are smaller and there are fewer in the bag.
If chocolate bars are too expensive, one expert says a bag of chips, well, maybe not this big, but the mini kind, is a better bang for your buck.
A potato chip bag is probably about 24 cents each right now in the market, but chocolate bars have shrunk so much that nobody's going to give just one. They're going to have to give 2 or 3. That comes up to 50, 75 cents a child.
Just buy candy. Don't buy specifically Halloween candy. The kids knocking on your door won't mind.
Despite the cost-saving tips, it seems the joy of the scary festivities not so scary for people's wallets, even in a challenging economy. A recent report shows 83% of Canadians plan to maintain or increase their spending this year because the spirit of Halloween can't be dimmed.
It's exciting.
And a chance to create memories for the kids, one candy bar or bag of chips at a time. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
And coming up, the remarkable recovery of a rare sea turtle. A labor of love helped save a rare sea turtle that washed up in BC. CTV's Adam Sawaski has the incredible journey back to the wild.
In the beginning, when Sean was on his boat, Moira was an unexpected discovery hidden under kelp.
The head popped up and looked at us. Oh my God moment.
She was a sea turtle who Sean knew was nowhere near native to the area.
It would kind of follow us a little bit, almost like asking for help, really.
And that's when Sean remembered hearing about a friend of a friend whose wife was a marine zoologist and called Dr. Anna Hall.
I dropped everything. Sunday dinner was still sitting on the counter. I just left.
The turtle was far from its more tropical home, only the second ever sighted in BC, and suffering from severe hypothermia.
It sort of looked like a creature that was moving toward the end of its life.
So Anna raced to orchestrate a rescue at sea, while more volunteers scrambled to borrow a wheelbarrow and secure cushions to create a carrier for the creature on land.
Sure enough, a wheelbarrow does fit in the back of my car with a large sea turtle in it.
During the 5-hour journey from Vancouver Island to the Vancouver Aquarium, Sean sat in the back, keeping Moira hydrated, and staff at BC Ferries stepped up to ensure the turtle got on the first available ship to the mainland, before being rehabilitated over the past 8 months by a team from the Marine Mammal Rescue Center who named her Moira.
Everybody was so happy that the turtle had made it to the people who know how to care for her.
And today, the first caring person Moira met is watching the final footage of the turtle being assessed at SeaWorld in San Diego and equipped with a tracker to monitor her safety before finally being released into the wild.
It's humbling to finally know she's back in the wild where she belongs, and that it was a full inspirational story.
A story with an enduring epilogue now that Sean and his wife are expecting a baby girl.
I mentioned we should name her Moira, but it's up for discussion right now.
And while Sean is thankful for all the turtle toys they received at the baby shower, the greatest gift is knowing that Moira is back home. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Saanich.
And that's it for us. I'm Joy Melvin. Thanks for watching, and good night.